Sometime in August, I was injected because part of the experiments were observation and the other part was blood taking and injection. I was injected with something that made me very ill. I had a very high fever. Both my arms and legs were swollen and very painful, and I had huge red spots throughout my body. The next visit to the blood lab, they didn't tie my arms for blood taking and injection. Instead of that, they measured my fever and I knew I was in trouble. I was taken to the hospital, which was another barrack, but it was filled with people who looked more dead than alive. Next morning, Dr. Mengele came in with 4 other doctors. He never ever examined me. He just looked at my fever chart and then he declared, laughing sarcastically. He said, "Too bad, she's so young. She has only 2 weeks to live." This is when I made the second silent pledge. I pledged that I will prove Dr. Mengele wrong. I will survive and be reunited with my twin sister Miriam. For the following 2 weeks, I have only one clear memory. I remember crawling on the barrack floor because I no longer could walk, and crawling on the barrack floor to reach a faucet with water at the other end of the barrack because this barrack wasn't even allocated any water. It took every ounce of my energy to crawl to the other end of the barrack, and I would fade in and out of consciousness, and I kept telling myself, I must survive, I must survive. After 2 weeks, my fever broke and I immediately felt a lot stronger. It took me another 3 weeks before the fever chart showed normal and I was released and reunited with Miriam and the other twins. But Miriam looked very sick, and when I asked her, "What happened to you? What have they done to you?" she said, "I cannot talk about it. I will not talk about it." And we did not talk about Auschwitz until 1985. That's a very long time. When I then, in 1985, I asked her again, I said, "Miriam, do you remember when I was taken to the hospital?" She said, "Yes." I said, "What happened to you while I was in the hospital?" She said, "Well, for the first 2 weeks, after you were taken away, I was kept in isolation with Nazi doctors studying me 24 hours a day. They were waiting for something to happen. They didn't tell me what that was, and I don't know if it happened or it didn't happen. But it was the same 2 weeks that Mengele said I would die. Would I have died? Miriam would have been rushed to Mengele's lab, killed with an injection to the heart. And then Mengele would have done the comparative autopsies. I spoiled the experiment. I survived, and Miriam was not killed.